We talk about mental health more than ever, yet a lot of people feel more stuck than they used to. So I want to ask something uncomfortable. What if the point isn't to make us feel better? What if the goal is to fix the situation that makes you feel this way in the first place? Because not every uncomfortable emotion is something that needs to be processed right away. Sometimes those emotions are feedback. Sometimes it's pressure. Sometimes it's part of you knowing that something needs to change. And in this video, I'm not going to argue against mental health per se. I'm just questioning what we're using it for. Because if you calm the feeling but keep the same life, nothing actually changes. So let's talk about that. The dominant message today is quite simple. If you feel anxious, emotional, frustrated, restless, dissatisfied, you need to process it right away. Talk about it. Let's not keep it in, but put it out there. Work it out and internally fix the problem. Try to feel better. But that works because the approach then has value, but it is incomplete because not every negative emotion is something that is a psychological issue. It's feedback about your life. Because frustration often just means that you're stuck. And restlessness often means that you're under-challenged. Anger often means that a line is being crossed. And dissatisfaction often means that your life structure no longer fits who you are. Those are not flaws that you need to process and feel better about. No, those are signals. And if you calm your emotion without changing the situation, you miss the message. You silence the alarm without fixing the root issue that set it off. For example, in my life, I broke my neck when I was 9. Now, that's a big issue, right? You're paralyzed, almost died, comes with a lot of trauma. So logically, they put you on a psychological track with a psychologist. And that is a logical thing to do because there's a lot to process. So let's help that kid process those things. So at first, it's quite intensive. And then in the aftermath of this whole period of time, after months and months and months in the hospital, you have to keep going the years after because your recovery is still going and you're now dealing with life after the accident. No matter how good or bad your recovery is, it's now permanently changed. And such an event permanently changes the way you function mentally and think mentally, especially for kids. It's a rude awakening. And the thing is that going to a psychologist, talking about it, trying to understand it, trying to regulate it, that worked. I did feel calmer, but my life didn't change. The same situations were there. The same frustrations were there. The same constraints were there. And the same lack of direction. So me going to a psychologist was simply not fixing the problem. I was just fixing it internally. And that energy that I was using to fix it, that energy that I got from feeling this way, is an energy that I needed to use to push me out of a situation that just no longer fit. So once I stopped talking it out and started acting on this energy, this feeling, the feeling changed on its own because I didn't process it away. I just changed my situation. I addressed what caused it. I did the reps. I did the searching for sports because I could no longer do football. So I needed to find a new one. I found my place in social groups because at first I was bullied. I did the work. I went through it because then I understood psychology might help me feel better internally, but externally, the cause is not fixed. So why put that out there when I can use this as a fuel to charge me in those directions where I can fix these problems? And so they were fixed. But it only happened because keeping this here gave me an innate sense of knowing that I needed to move forward. So yeah, talking helps you understand about what you feel, and it can create relief. But it can also stop things from building, Talking releases emotional pressure, and pressure is energy. If you always talk your frustration away, if you feel calmer that way, nothing actually moves. And you feel better in the same environment that made you feel bad. So that environment now becomes a comfort zone of sorts. That is not growth. That's adaptation. And it keeps you in this place. And while you're living with it, now life starts repeating because growth happens through challenge. And that change is what causes that growth. So if you don't change the situation, you just adapt. And now you're kind of dead man walking because life starts repeating every day and day in and day out, and your days blur together. So I don't know if that's something that you necessarily want to feel better about. I think the problem is that we quietly made happiness the goal. Feeling good, feeling balanced, feeling at peace. I mean, you see these wishes for those type of feelings on social media. I mean, there are a dime a dozen. But life is not designed to feel good all the time. It's designed to respond to reality. Sometimes discomfort is exactly what you need to move. If your job drains you, the solution is not to feel better about it. If your relationship limits you, the solution is not acceptance of that. If your life feels small, the solution isn't more inner work. The solution is change. Now, I'm not saying that mental health doesn't matter. Of course it matters. If you're someone who's emotionally unstable, depressed, anxious, or simply at a point where you can't function at all, stability comes first, because you can only build upon a strong foundation. Without that, there's no reason for you to try building because it will collapse. Mental health is necessary when emotions stop you from acting at all. But once you're at a point, once you're stable, endlessly having introspection or talking about it isn't what you need. Your change is only going to come from direction, going from A to B. Now, there's a difference between suppressing emotions and using them. Because suppressing means you're basically acting like nothing is wrong. But using them means you're letting them inform your next action. Because frustration can push you to train harder. Restlessness can push you to take risks. Anger can push you to set boundaries. And dissatisfaction can push you to redesign your life. So you don't need to eliminate those feelings. You just need to aim them at the right target and fire. And that mental health, it's not about feeling good. It's about being functional enough to have a foundation that you can build upon. Emotions aren't meant to keep you comfortable. Talking about everything means you kind of get adjusted to the current status quo. But instead, those emotions are meant to keep you honest because they're one of the greatest forms of feedback that our brain gives us as to what needs to change and why. If you always try to fix how you feel from the inside, you may never fix what is wrong from the outside. And you'd be doing yourself a big disservice. So mental health is necessary when it helps you regain the stability that you might not have. But remind yourself that it isn't the end goal. It's the foundation for you to build the life that you are aiming for. So what matters is what you do with how you feel. Do you use it to soothe yourself, or do you use it to change your situation? Because the goal isn't happiness. The goal is alignment. And sometimes the fastest way to feel better is to build a life that no longer produces the same pain. Let me know what your next step is going to be and what life you want to build. I want to hear all about it. If this video was helpful, if you like it, leave a like, subscribe, click the notification bell. See you in the next one.